Welcome back to Languanest Podcast. I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Maya.
Have you ever been in a room where everyone is talking, but you feel completely silent?
Not because you don't want to speak, but because you don't know how to.
Your mind is full of words, but your voice just doesn't come out.
And the more you try, the harder it becomes.
Today's story is not just about English.
It's about fear, confidence, and that one moment
When you realize,
you're not ready.
this is the day.
English made me feel completely helpless.
So, take me back to that day. Where were you, and what exactly was happening?
It was just a normal evening, nothing special. Guests were coming over, the house felt alive, you know that feeling. Voices in every corner, people greeting each other, cups being placed on the table, small laughs, small conversations. Everything felt warm, comfortable.
So at the beginning, you were relaxed.
Completely. I was part of everything. Talking, listening, reacting. Even making small jokes. For a moment, I felt confident. Like I belonged there.
And then something changed.
Yes, but very quietly. It didn't happen all at once. One of the guests said something in English. Just one sentence. Simple.
That doesn't sound like a big deal.
It wasn't, at first. I understood it. I smiled. I stayed relaxed. I told myself, it's fine.
But it didn't stay that way.
No. Because one sentence became two. Two became a full conversation. And slowly, without anyone noticing, the entire room shifted into English.
And that's when you felt it.
Yes. That small feeling. At first, just a little discomfort. Like something wasn't right.
What kind of discomfort?
It's hard to explain. It's not loud. It's not obvious. But inside, something starts tightening.
Because the language changed?
Not just the language. The energy. They weren't just speaking English. They were flowing in it.
Flowing?
Yes. No pauses, no hesitation. Just smooth conversation. They were laughing naturally, responding instantly. Like it was effortless.
And you were trying to keep up.
Exactly. At first, I was listening carefully. Trying to understand every word. Connecting sentences in my head.
Were you able to follow?
A little. But only in pieces. I would understand one sentence. Then miss the next. Then catch something again. Then lose it completely.
So you were always one step behind.
Yes. And that feeling, it slowly starts pulling you out of the moment.
Out of the conversation?
Out of everything. Because while they are moving forward, you're stuck trying to catch up.
That sounds frustrating.
It is. But at that point, I was still trying to stay normal.
How?
I kept smiling. Nodding my head. Reacting when others reacted. Even laughing sometimes.
Even when you didn't fully understand.
Yes. Because I didn't want to look lost.
So you were pretending.
A little. But inside, I knew the truth.
Which was?
I wasn't part of the conversation anymore.
That realization hit you?
Slowly, but deeply. Just a few minutes ago, I was talking freely. Now, I was just sitting there, watching others connect.
Did that change how you felt in the room?
Completely. At the start, I felt present. Now, I felt like an outsider.
Even though you were sitting with them?
Yes. That's the strange part. You can be physically there, but mentally far away.
What were you thinking at that moment?
I kept telling myself. Say something, just one sentence, join in.
Did you try?
I wanted to. But something stopped me.
What stopped you?
A small fear. Not strong at first. Just a quiet thought, what if you say it wrong?
That thought stayed?
Yes. And it grew.
How?
With every passing minute. With every sentence I didn't say. With every moment I stayed silent. That fear became bigger.
And your confidence?
It started fading. Not suddenly, but slowly, like light disappearing at sunset.
That's powerful.
Because the real change didn't happen outside. It happened inside me.
Inside your mind.
Yes. From I can speak, to maybe I can't.
And that's where everything began.
Exactly. That was the beginning. Not of silence, but of doubt.
So you were still sitting there, trying to stay part of everything. But inside, something was already changing. What happened next?
At first, I didn't accept it. I kept telling myself, it's okay, just listen, you'll understand. So I leaned forward a little, focused harder. Trying to catch every word.
You were putting more effort.
Yes. But the more I tried, the more I felt lost.
Why?
Because they were moving too fast. Not just speaking, but reacting instantly. One person speaks, another replies, someone laughs, someone adds something new. And I was still stuck on the previous sentence.
So your mind couldn't keep up.
Exactly. It felt like chasing something that keeps moving away from you.
That must have been exhausting.
It was. Not physically, but mentally.
Explain that feeling.
It's like your brain is working too hard. Trying to translate, trying to understand, trying to connect everything. And after a while, you just get tired.
So what did you do then?
I slowed down. Not by choice, but because I had to.
What do you mean?
I stopped trying to understand everything. I started letting things pass.
So you gave up on following the conversation?
Not fully. But I stopped chasing it.
And what replaced that effort?
Pretending.
Pretending? How?
I started reacting without understanding. If someone laughed, I laughed too. If someone nodded, I nodded.
Even if you didn't know why?
Yes. Because at that point, fitting in felt more important than understanding.
That's deep.
But inside, I knew it wasn't real.
You felt disconnected?
Very. It felt like I was acting, not living the moment.
Did that affect your confidence more?
Yes. Because now I wasn't just struggling. I was hiding it.
And hiding makes it heavier.
Exactly. Because you're carrying two things at once. The confusion, and the fear of being exposed.
Exposed?
Yes. That someone might suddenly ask me something, and I wouldn't know what to say.
So you were waiting for that moment?
Yes, and also hoping it wouldn't come.
That tension must have been intense.
It was building slowly. Like pressure.
What kind of pressure?
The pressure to speak. Because the longer you stay silent, the more it feels like everyone notices.
Even if they don't.
Even if they don't. Your mind tells you they do.
So what were you thinking at that point?
So many things. Say something now, this is your chance. Don't stay quiet.
Did you try to speak again?
I tried, in my head.
In your head?
Yes. I started forming sentences silently. Simple ones. I think this, that's good, I agree.
So the words were there.
Yes, inside. Clear, simple, ready.
Then why didn't they come out?
Because every time I tried to say them, a second thought came.
What thought?
What if it's wrong?
And that stopped you?
Completely. Because then another thought comes. What if they don't understand you? What if you say it in a weird way? What if they look at you differently?
So your mind became your biggest barrier.
Yes. Not the language, not the people, just my own thoughts.
That's powerful.
And the worst part, the longer I stayed silent, the harder it became to break it.
Why harder?
Because now it wasn't just about speaking. It was about breaking the silence.
And that feels bigger.
Much bigger. It feels like everyone will notice the moment you speak.
So what did you do?
I delayed it. Again, and again.
Until?
Until I stopped trying.
You stopped completely?
Yes. Not loudly, just quietly.
How did that feel?
Strange. At first, a little relief.
Relief?
Yes. Because I no longer had to try. No pressure, no risk, just silence.
But that didn't last.
No. Because after that relief, came something worse.
What?
Emptiness.
Emptiness?
Yes. Because now I wasn't just quiet. I was disconnected.
From the conversation?
From everything. From the moment, from the people, even from myself.
That's deep.
Because at that point, I wasn't even trying to understand anymore.
So what were you doing?
Just sitting there, watching, waiting, hoping it would end.
That sounds heavy.
It was the point where silence didn't feel safe anymore.
Then what did it feel like?
Like being invisible.
Invisible?
Yes. Like I was in the room, but not really there.
And that's when things got worse.
Yes. Because right after that, something happened that changed everything.
So you reached that point where you stopped trying, you felt invisible. And then something happened. What was it?
Yeah. That was the moment everything changed. Until then, I was hiding in silence. But after that, I couldn't hide anymore.
What pulled you out of that silence?
A simple thing. A question.
A question?
Yes. The conversation slowed down for a second. There was a small pause. And someone turned toward me.
They looked at you directly?
Yes. Not in a scary way. Not in a judging way. Just naturally. They smiled and asked me something in English.
Was it a difficult question?
No. That's the hardest part. It was simple. Very simple.
So you understood it?
Completely. Every word. Every meaning.
Then that should have been your moment.
It should have been. And for a second, I thought it was.
What happened in that second?
Something strange. Something I had never felt so strongly before.
What do you mean?
Time slowed down.
Slowed down?
Yes. Everything around me became quiet, even though people were there. All I could feel was my heartbeat.
That intense?
Very. My heart started racing, faster than normal, like something big was about to happen.
And your mind?
My mind was full. Full of words, full of answers, full of sentences.
So you had the answer ready?
Yes. Clear, simple, correct. I knew exactly what to say.
Then why didn't you say it?
Because something else entered my mind.
What?
Doubt.
Doubt about what?
Everything. Is this the right sentence? Am I saying it correctly? What if I make a mistake? What if they notice?
All those thoughts came at once?
Yes. All at the same time. And they were fast. Faster than my confidence.
So your confidence didn't have time to respond.
Exactly. Before I could speak, those thoughts took control.
And what was happening outside?
They were waiting.
Waiting for your answer.
Yes. And that waiting made everything worse.
How?
Because now, it wasn't just about answering. It was about not disappointing them.
That pressure must have been heavy.
Very heavy. It felt like all attention was on me. Even if it wasn't.
So you tried to speak.
I did. I opened my mouth, took a breath, and tried to say the first word. Nothing.
Nothing came out?
Nothing. Just silence.
What did that moment feel like?
Like falling.
Falling?
Yes. Like you're losing control, and you can't stop it.
Did you try again?
Yes. But this time it was worse.
Worse how?
Because now, I was aware of everything.
Aware of what?
My silence, their eyes, my fear, my heartbeat, everything.
That awareness made it harder.
Much harder. Because now I wasn't just trying to speak. I was fighting myself.
That's deep.
And in that fight, I lost.
So what did you do?
I forced something out.
What do you mean?
A broken sentence. Incomplete, unclear, not what I wanted to say.
Did they understand?
Maybe a little. But that wasn't the point.
Then what was the point?
I knew. I knew it wasn't my real answer.
And that hurt?
Yes. Because I realized something in that moment.
What realization?
I wasn't struggling because I didn't know English. I was struggling because I was afraid to use it.
That's powerful.
And that realization hit me harder than the silence.
Because it was the truth.
Yes. And the truth is uncomfortable.
What happened after that?
The conversation moved on.
Just like that?
Yes. They continued talking, laughing, sharing ideas, like nothing happened.
But for you, something had changed.
Completely.
How?
Before that moment, I felt lost.
And after?
I felt exposed.
Exposed?
Yes. Like my weakness was visible.
Even if no one said anything.
Even then. Because sometimes, the strongest judgment comes from inside.
So what were you thinking?
So many things. I could have answered better. Why didn't I just speak? What's wrong with me?
That self-talk must have been heavy.
It was crushing.
Did you want to leave?
Yes. More than anything. I just wanted to disappear.
But you stayed.
Yes. But mentally, I was gone.
Gone how?
I stopped listening, stopped reacting, stopped trying.
So what were you doing?
Just sitting there, waiting for it to end.
That sounds like the lowest point.
It was. Because in that moment, I didn't just feel silent.
You felt?
Helpless.
That's the moment.
Yes. That exact moment. Not when they were speaking. Not when I was confused.
But when you couldn't express yourself.
Exactly. That's when it hit me.
What hit you?
That I had no control.
Over your words.
Over my voice, my confidence, my place in that conversation.
And that's why you'll never forget it.
Yes. Because that was the moment. English didn't just challenge me.
It.
Made me feel completely helpless.
So the moment passed, the conversation moved on. But I know something didn't end there. What happened inside you after that?
From the outside, everything looked normal again. Voices came back, laughter returned, the conversation kept flowing. It was like nothing had happened.
But inside, it wasn't normal anymore.
Not even close. Inside, everything felt heavy.
Heavy in what way?
Like I was carrying something. Something invisible, but very real.
That moment stayed with you.
Yes. It didn't pass. It stayed.
Even while people were still talking.
Yes. I could hear them, but I wasn't really listening anymore.
Why not?
Because my mind had gone somewhere else.
Where?
Back to that moment.
You were replaying it?
Again, and again, and again. That question, that silence, that broken answer.
Like a loop.
Exactly. And each time I replayed it, it felt worse.
Worse how?
Because I started noticing things I didn't see before.
Like what?
The way I paused, the way my voice didn't come out, the way I forced that small sentence.
You were analyzing yourself.
Yes, and judging myself at the same time.
That's tough.
Because no one else said anything. But inside, I was saying everything.
What were you telling yourself?
You embarrassed yourself. You should have stayed quiet. You're not good at this.
That's harsh.
Very. And the worst part. I believed it.
So your confidence didn't just drop.
It collapsed.
Collapsed.
Yes. Before that moment, I still had some belief. After that moment, it felt gone.
That's deep.
Because now I wasn't just quiet. I was convinced that I should stay quiet.
That's dangerous.
Yes. Because that's how silence becomes a habit.
So what were you doing physically?
I was sitting there, looking around, nodding sometimes.
Still pretending a little?
Not really. Even pretending became hard.
Why?
Because I didn't have the energy anymore.
Emotionally drained.
Completely.
Did you avoid eye contact?
Yes. Because eye contact means connection, and I didn't feel connected anymore.
So you disconnected?
Slowly, yes.
From the people?
From the moment. From the room. From everything.
That sounds isolating.
It was. Even though I was surrounded by people, I felt alone.
What were you feeling the most at that point?
Disappointment.
In yourself?
Yes. Because I knew something.
What?
I could have tried.
But you didn't?
I let fear win.
That realization must have hit hard.
It did. Because now I couldn't blame the situation.
You blamed yourself.
Yes. And that made it heavier.
Did you compare yourself to others?
All the time.
What did you notice?
They were speaking freely, without overthinking, without fear.
And you felt the gap.
Very clearly. Not a small gap, a huge distance.
That must have made you feel smaller.
Yes. Not because they were better, but because I felt stuck.
That's powerful.
And then something changed again.
What happened?
I stopped reacting completely.
Completely?
No more nodding, no more fake smiles. Just quiet.
Total silence.
Yes. But this time, it didn't feel safe.
Then what did it feel like?
Empty.
Empty?
Like I had nothing to give, nothing to say, nothing to add.
That's heavy.
And that's when the biggest realization came.
What realization?
That this wasn't just one moment.
Meaning?
This wasn't the first time I stayed silent.
It was a pattern.
Yes. A pattern of avoiding, of overthinking, of holding myself back.
So this moment just exposed it.
Exactly. It didn't create the problem, it revealed it.
That realization must have been painful.
Very. Because now I couldn't ignore it anymore.
So what happened when everything ended?
The guests eventually left.
And the room became quiet.
Yes. But this time, the silence felt different.
How?
Before, silence felt safe. Now, it felt heavy.
Because you were alone with your thoughts.
Exactly. No distractions, no voices, just me, and everything I was feeling.
And what did you feel in that moment?
The truth.
Which was?
That I didn't fail because I didn't know English.
Then why?
Because I was afraid to use it.
That's powerful.
And that truth hurt more than anything that happened before.
So everything became quiet, the guests left, and you were finally alone with your thoughts. What happened in that silence?
At first, I just sat there. No phone, no distraction. Just me, and everything replaying in my head.
Still thinking about that moment?
Yes. That question, that silence, that feeling of being stuck. It kept coming back.
Did you try to push it away?
I tried. But it didn't go away. Because some moments don't leave until you understand them.
So you stayed with it?
Yes. And slowly, Something inside me started changing.
Changing how?
At first, it was pain. Then, it became clarity.
Clarity about what?
About the truth.
Which was?
That nothing outside stopped me. Not the people, not the situation, not even English itself.
Then what stopped you?
Me?
That's hard to accept.
Very hard. Because it's easier to blame something else. But that day, I couldn't lie to myself anymore.
So what did you feel at that moment?
A mix of emotions. Frustration, regret, anger.
Anger?
Yes. But not at others. At myself.
Why?
Because I knew I had chances. Small moments, where I could have spoken.
But you didn't take them.
I let them pass. Again and again.
That realization must have been heavy.
It was. But then something unexpected happened.
What?
Instead of feeling weaker, I started feeling responsible.
Responsible?
Yes. Because if I am the reason I stayed silent, then I can also be the reason I change.
That's a powerful shift.
It changed everything. Because now, I wasn't helpless anymore.
You had control.
Yes. Not over everything, but over my actions.
So what did you decide?
I made a decision. A quiet one, but strong.
What was it?
No more hiding.
No more hiding from English?
From fear, from embarrassment, from that voice that says stay quiet.
That's deep.
Because I realized something important.
What?
Silence feels safe in the moment.
But
It hurts later.
that's true.
And mistakes. They feel uncomfortable in the moment.
But
They make you stronger later.
so you chose discomfort.
Yes. For the first time, I chose discomfort over regret.
That's a big step.
Because that regret, that feeling I had that night, I didn't want to feel it again.
So what was your first action?
I didn't start big. No complicated plan, no heavy books.
Then what?
Something very simple.
What was it?
I started speaking, alone.
Alone?
Yes. Talking to myself.
What did you say?
Simple things. I am here, I will try, I can improve.
Did it feel strange?
Very. At first, it felt awkward. Even funny.
So why continue?
Because for the first time, I was not silent.
That matters.
A lot. Because silence was my biggest habit.
And you broke it.
Slowly, yes.
Did that build confidence?
Not immediately.
Then what did it build?
Courage.
What's the difference?
Confidence comes after success. Courage comes before it.
That's powerful.
And I needed courage first.
So what changed in your mindset?
I stopped waiting to be perfect.
Why?
Because perfection was the reason I never started.
So what did you focus on instead?
Progress. Even small, messy, imperfect progress.
That's real growth.
And then I made one more rule.
What rule?
Speak, even if it's wrong.
That's powerful.
Because before, I stayed silent to avoid mistakes.
And now?
I accepted mistakes to avoid silence.
That's a complete shift.
Yes. And that shift was the beginning of everything.
So that painful moment,
It didn't break me completely.
it changed you.
It woke me up.
That's powerful.
Because sometimes, you don't change when things are easy.
You change when they hurt.
Exactly.
And that pain became your starting point.
Yes. That helpless feeling became my reason to move.
So you made that decision, you promised yourself you wouldn't stay silent anymore. But decisions are one thing. Living them every day is something else. What really happened after that?
The next day came. And honestly, nothing felt different.
Nothing?
No sudden confidence, no strong motivation. Just the same me, with the same fear.
So the fear didn't disappear.
Not at all. It was still there, just waiting.
Waiting for what?
For me to try again. So it could stop me again.
That's real.
Because fear doesn't leave easily. It stays and tests you.
So what did you do when that fear came back?
At first, I hesitated. I thought, maybe I should start tomorrow.
That delay again.
Yes. That same old habit.
But something was different this time.
Yes. This time, I caught it.
Caught what?
That voice trying to delay me.
And you didn't listen?
Not completely. I still felt the fear, but I didn't obey it.
So what was your first real step?
I started speaking, again.
To yourself?
Yes. But this time, more intentionally.
How?
I didn't just say random sentences. I started describing things.
Like what?
Simple things. This is my room, I am sitting here, I will improve.
That sounds basic.
It is. But that's the point.
Explain that.
Because before, I was trying to speak perfectly. Now, I was trying to speak simply.
And that made it easier.
Yes. Less pressure, less fear.
Did you do this every day?
Not perfectly. But I tried.
Were there days you didn't feel like doing it?
Many.
What happened on those days?
I skipped sometimes. I doubted myself. I felt stuck again.
So the struggle continued.
Yes. This wasn't a straight path.
What do you mean?
Some days felt good. Some days felt like I made no progress.
That can be frustrating.
Very. Because you put effort, but you don't see results immediately.
That's where most people quit.
Exactly. And I almost did too.
What stopped you?
That night.
That same moment?
Yes. That silence, that helpless feeling. I didn't want to go back there.
So that pain kept pushing you.
Yes. It became my reminder.
Did you start noticing any change?
At first, very small.
Like what?
I could speak a little faster. I paused less. I felt slightly less afraid.
Small improvements.
Yes. But they mattered.
Because they showed progress.
Exactly.
Was there a moment that stood out?
Yes. One day, I spoke a full sentence without stopping.
That sounds simple.
But for me, it was big.
Why?
Because before, I couldn't even start.
That's real progress.
And that small win gave me something important.
What?
Belief.
Belief in yourself.
Yes. Not strong belief, but enough to continue.
So what changed after that?
I started taking small risks.
Like?
Using English words in real life, even if it felt uncomfortable.
With other people?
Yes. Simple words at first.
Was that scary?
Very.
Then why do it?
Because I knew, this is where real growth happens.
Outside your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Did you make mistakes?
A lot.
Did that affect you?
At first, yes. I felt embarrassed again.
Just like before.
A little. But this time, I didn't stop.
That's the difference.
Yes. Before, mistakes stopped me. Now, mistakes taught me.
That's growth.
And slowly, something inside me changed.
What changed?
I stopped thinking too much.
Overthinking reduced?
Yes. Because I was busy doing, not just thinking.
That's powerful.
And then came a moment that felt familiar.
Familiar how?
I was again in a small group, people speaking English.
Same situation as before.
Yes. Almost the same.
What did you feel this time?
Fear, again.
So nothing changed?
No. Something had changed.
What?
This time, I didn't stay silent.
You spoke?
Yes. Not perfectly, not fluently, but I spoke.
How did that feel?
Different.
In what way?
Because I wasn't proud of my English.
Then what were you proud of?
My courage.
That's powerful.
Because that was the real victory.
Not perfection.
But action.
So that moment confirmed your growth.
Yes. I wasn't the same person anymore.
From silent to speaking.
From fear to trying.
So you reached that moment where you finally spoke. Not perfectly, but honestly. But I want to understand something deeper. Was that the end of your struggle, or the beginning of something new?
It wasn't the end. It was proof.
Proof of what?
That I was never truly helpless.
That's powerful.
Because before that moment, I believed I couldn't speak.
And that belief controlled you.
Completely. It shaped my actions, my silence, my fear.
And now?
Now I saw the truth.
Which is?
I could speak. I just didn't allow myself to.
That's a big realization.
The biggest. Because once you see that, everything changes.
So what changed after that moment?
Not my English immediately. But my relationship with it.
Explain that.
Before, English felt like pressure. Something heavy, something scary. Something I had to get right.
And now?
Now, it became something lighter.
Lighter?
Yes. A tool, not a test.
That's a powerful shift.
Because when something feels like a test, you become afraid of failing.
And when it's a tool,
You use it, even if it's not perfect.
that changes everything.
Completely.
So what happens now when fear comes back?
It still comes.
Still?
Yes. Fear doesn't disappear. But it loses control.
So what do you do now?
I speak anyway.
Even with fear?
Especially with fear.
That's courage.
Yes. Because courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward with it.
That's deep.
And something else changed too.
What?
I stopped trying to sound perfect.
Why?
Because perfection was never the goal.
Then what is?
Connection.
Connection?
Yes. To express, to share, to be understood.
That's what language is for.
Exactly.
So how do you see yourself now?
Not as someone who is bad at English.
Then?
As someone who is learning.
That's a healthy mindset.
Because learning has no pressure. Only progress.
So you accepted the journey.
Yes. And that made everything easier.
Did you start noticing others like your old self?
All the time.
Where?
In conversations, in groups, even in small gatherings.
What do you see in them?
The same silence, the same fake smiles, the same hesitation.
Just like you before.
Exactly.
How do you feel when you see that?
I understand them.
Not judge them.
Never. Because I know that feeling.
What feeling?
Wanting to speak, but stopping yourself.
That's powerful.
And sometimes I try to help.
How?
By making things easier, slower, more comfortable.
Creating the space you needed before.
Yes. Because one safe moment can change everything.
That's true.
And that's when I realized something deeper.
What realization?
This journey was never just about English.
Then what was it about?
Confidence.
Confidence in speaking?
Confidence in yourself.
That's bigger.
Because English was just the situation. The real challenge was believing in myself.
That's powerful.
And once that belief started growing, everything else followed.
So what would you say to someone who is sitting quietly right now, listening to this, feeling exactly how you felt?
I would say this.
Go on.
That silence you feel.
Yes.
It's not permanent.
It feels permanent though.
It does. But it's not.
Then what is it?
It's a starting point.
That's powerful.
Because every confident speaker was once silent.
That's true.
The only difference is, they didn't stop.
So what should they do?
Start small.
How small?
One word. One sentence. One attempt.
That's it?
Yes. Because big confidence comes from small actions.
And what about mistakes?
Let them happen.
Really?
Yes. Because mistakes are proof that you're trying.
That's a strong message.
And one more thing.
What?
Don't wait to feel ready.
Why?
Because you may never feel ready.
So what should they do?
Start anyway.
That's powerful.
Because readiness doesn't come first. Action does.
And then?
Then confidence follows.
So that day.
Yes. That day when I felt helpless.
It didn't end your story.
It started it.
That's the full circle.
Yes. From silence to voice. From fear to courage. From helpless to growing.
If you've ever been in a room where everyone was speaking and you stayed quiet, just know this. You are not alone.
That feeling of having words in your mind, but no voice to say them. I've been there.
Maybe you're there right now. Listening, nodding, pretending.
Smiling, but not really understanding. Wanting to speak, but holding yourself back.
Listen carefully. That silence is not who you are.
It's just where you are, right now.
And where you are can change.
You don't need perfect grammar.
You don't need big vocabulary.
You don't need to sound fluent.
You just need one thing.
The courage to try.
Because every confident speaker you see today
Was once exactly like you.
quiet, unsure, afraid.
The only difference is they didn't stop.
So next time, when you get a chance to speak,
Don't wait.
Don't overthink.
Don't stay silent.
Even if your voice shakes.
Even if your words break.
Even if it's not perfect.
Say it.
Because that one word.
Can change everything.
And one day, you'll look back at this moment.
And realize, this was the beginning.
So tell us. Where are you watching from?
And what time is it in your city right now?
Because your voice matters.
Even before it becomes perfect.
This is Languanest Podcast.
And your journey starts today.